Hi there, and welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son sit down and talk about fantasy books. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim, and it's great to have you with us for another episode of this fun and crazy show that we like to put together. Zach, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I was going to say hanging out on this Saturday and then realized it's not a Saturday, it's a Sunday.
That's right.
But no, just having a good day. Was trying to catch up on some of the House of the Dragon that I'm a little bit behind on.
Yeah, don't talk to me about that. Wait,
Like
no,
I
you
said,
could talk to me
I'm a
about
little
that,
bit
actually.
behind on it.
I have a funny story related to that in just a moment, I can tell you.
Okay.
But anything else you wanted to say about how you doing?
No, how are you, Dad?
I'm doing fine. I'm recording from a strange location. I'm up in Spokane, Washington for work this weekend because I had things to do before the weekend and after the weekend. So I'm just settled here. It's too far to drive home and then turn right around and drive back. So just staying here. But it did allow me to get together with Spencer from the Fantasy Files. Yesterday, we recorded a couple episodes, one for ours. One for his. They won't come out for a while, but it's fun.
A little bit down the road.
Yeah, he doesn't live in Spokane. He lives about half an hour away in Coeur d'Alene, but that's close enough, and we made that work. We're getting together again tonight for dinner. We're going to go to a whiskey bar. Yeah, he's a whiskey guy. So there you go. I'm going to try that. So funny thing, since, I'm on the road for an 8-day trip right now.
Okay.
I'm about halfway through. That's a long time not to see your mom. It's like, man, okay, but this is a busy part of my work year, so I do travel a bit. Last night, reached out and said, hey, you want to try a teleparty? We can watch one of our shows together while we're apart. And sure, we'll set that up. Well, we'll try to set that up. So I said, let's watch House of the Dragon. We go through the rigmarole of getting it set up. It was all set on my computer, but not on hers. So I'm trying to, through chat, get her to figure out what she's got to do to get it set up. We finally managed to get it done. I'm sure it would have been easier if I was right there setting her computer up, but we managed to get it on and then discovered, oh crap, we'd watched that episode already.
Yeah, I was sitting here going, were you trying to do this last night? The next one doesn't drop till tonight.
Right. What I was thinking really is I needed to be setting this up for Rings of Power, because that's the one where we have an episode we can watch
on Fridays. Yeah.
But by the time we got it all set up and finally get it going, and it's one we've seen, she was like, it's all right. Never mind. Like, oh, dang it. Well, technology's great when it works. It's even greater when you're not an idiot trying to make it work.
Yes. So, end of story. My entertainment last night was much better than yours. Yes. That's okay.
There you go. All right. What you drinking today? I see you raising something to your lips.
So that was weird phrasing.
Well, you did.
It just felt weird. No, it's nothing crazy, but surprisingly tasty. A little bit of SoCo with Mountain Dew. Because I learned some weird, interesting history that Mountain Dew started as not exactly what it tastes like today, but way back, was originally made by these two brothers who were trying to reproduce their favorite mixer for whiskeys. So I was like, I bet it probably still works. And it does.
Okay. Well, Mountain Dew I'm not a fan of. I drank a lot of it when I was younger, so much so that now it just kind of turns my stomach. But if it works as a mixer, all right, a little bit of sweet and sour going on there and all.
It's surprisingly good.
All right, maybe you've rediscovered something. Hey.
What about yourself?
I'm not drinking anything.
Not
because
hotel
I'm sitting in a hotel room. My bar's not here. There's not even a mini bar in this one. It's only a Holiday Inn Express. Come on, we're not that classy here. So yeah, I got nothing. I could have maybe arranged something, but I'll just have to wait for the whiskey bar with Spencer later today.
That's fair.
There you go. What are you reading now, Zach? Anything good? What are you up to?
Let's see. I just not too long ago finished American Gods. It was quite entertaining. Don't think I've
Okay.
actually mentioned that in the Discord yet. But beyond that, I've started the third book in the Broken Earth trilogy, Stone
Hey.
Sky. I'm about halfway through, and I'm still working my way through Oathbringer, so I'm about
Wait,
halfway through that
wait.
as well.
What's the third book called?
The Stone Sky?
So the second book is the Obelisk Gate.
Yes.
Okay. Stone Sky. Why does that not sound familiar? I mean, I've read it months ago. Really? It's called Stone Sky.
The Stone Sky, but yeah.
The Stone Sky. Huh. I'm gonna have to look that back up because
There's a
why
little
does
piece
that
of me
not...
going, am I getting this wrong? No, I'm right. I'm
The
listening to it right
Stone
now.
Sky. Okay. Well, very good.
What are you reading,
Sorry.
Dad?
I am reading multiple things, of course. I'm still for our Pern Book Club working through Dragon Singer. In fact, I've got it right in front of me here
Yes.
because I was reading while I was waiting for you before the podcast. So Dragon Singer, I am reading also physically the third book in the Deathgate cycle. So
Okay.
Fire Sea. Yes. It's getting pretty good, but I'm still just... It's the last thing I seem to spend time with these days. I just so many other things. That's the one I get to the least, but I'm still working through it. And it's definitely getting better as the series has moved through.
So it's holding
So
your
many-
interest, but not necessarily your excitement.
Yeah, that's kind of it. And which I think it must change as I keep going because there's so many people who on Twitter are like, oh, that's like my favorite series ever kind of stuff out there. And I haven't felt that yet. So I'm going to keep going and see if it grabs me that same way eventually. And then on Audible, I'm working through book 9 of the Helldiver series by Nicholas Sansbury Smith. I've read a lot of his stuff, actually all through Audible, but it's great and really enjoying it. Helldivers 10 is coming out soon, so I'll get this one done and I'll be ready for the 10th one, which
Sounds
maybe
good.
will be the last one. You never know.
Never do.
Never. All right. I've got couple other notes. Let's see. No, I have three more notes today, but they're very short and sweet. One, we got another rating on Apple Podcast.
Amazing.
Yay. Not a review, but another rating, another 5-star rating. Yeah. So we now have 7 5-star ratings. Now, honestly, I don't know when this 7th one showed up. I just noticed it. So it could have been there for a couple months, and I just had missed that we had another rating, but I caught it this week. So thank you if you gave us a rating. And we're also picking up YouTube subscribers. Now, partly because I asked people to subscribe on YouTube, help us out a little bit. We always ask on the during these episodes, I just put it out there too to all of our followers on Discord and Twitter and stuff. Hey, if you haven't yet, we'd love to have you subscribe to our channel. So we're picking up a few more, and that's very much appreciated too. In doing some housekeeping on our episodes, I discovered I'd done something wrong in our show notes. Like in March. That then through the skill of cut and paste had perpetuated for months, where the link that I was putting for our merchandise was not the full link anymore. So it wasn't working. Same thing with our link to Patreon. So people finding us in recent months and, oh, we'd love to support them, and the link doesn't go anywhere. Hopefully they just then looked on Patreon and found Fantasy for the Ages, because we have picked up some Patreon supporters.
But also, sorry that our links have been wrong.
I don't mean to make it hard for you to support us or buy our merch. But I went back in and I fixed them all. So, yeah, when people are actually hearing about this, there's no errors to go find. It's in the past now.
Or at least those ones are in the past. We're bound to make more errors. It happens.
The last little thing, we're getting very close to the end of the Shadow Rising. I mean, we have today's episode and then just 2 more. And then we've got a, completion celebration episode we'll do as a live stream open to everybody.
Very
And
exciting.
that's going to be with the folks from Threefold Talk
Mhm.
YouTube show. So watch out for that. That's going to be coming right around the beginning of November. So look for it. This will drop before that happens. So, and we'll be publicizing. Now, we're going to have a really good time with those folks talking about The Shadow Rising. All right, that's what I got. Any other notes you want to throw in here before we hit the content?
No, let's get into the book.
Let's do it. Now, if people have checked the title of this episode, they'll notice we're skipping chapter 53 today.
Okay. This has to hurt you, right? Because, like, I know you. I know my habits because of you. I know I got in trouble back when I used to have to practice piano pieces because I wouldn't jump around and skip. I'd have to go beginning to end. And that was a you trait. So the fact that we're doing this?
This is what we do for our fans, though. It simply makes more sense for telling the story to wrap up the different major plot lines together and succinctly. So today we're jumping 53 because that's about Perrin's storyline, and it really goes together with chapter 56. So we'll cover 53 and 56 in our next episode. But in this episode, we're going to do 54 and 55, which will conclude the Tanchico storyline. Nynaeve, Elaine, all those who are out there.
Spoilers.
They're here for it now. We can say this, okay? It's fine. And that, of course, will still leave then, once we've done this episode and the next one, it'll leave one more episode to wrap up Rand, Matt, Egwene, all of that out in the Aiel Waste. So, boom, boom, boom. These are all coming to a head now, which is fantastic.
So I'm ready for some exciting episodes.
Yeah, the reason Perrin's broken into 53 and 56 is it just makes it work chronologically, because kind of that stuff's happening at the very same time that what's happening for Nynaeve and Elaine. And Robert Jordan just decided, well, we'll do this little bit with Perrin and we'll jump to the girls and then we'll go back to Perrin. It's like, nah, that's a mess.
When Robert Jordan was writing it, he went, okay, you get to chapter 53 and you're not stopping until you hit the end. So it didn't matter.
Most likely. Of course, there is something that happens at the end of chapter 53, which makes sense that he can leave it for just a little bit. But that's for next week. Chapter 54, then, is where we start today. It's called Into the Palace. So, we're going to see Mission Impossible take place now as the crew goes after the item that's in the palace that's dangerous to Rand. You know, this palace that is surrounded by white cloaks and infested with black Aja.
Now, remind me, we saw last time what this item we believe it is. What is it?
Yeah, it's something like a black Adam. So it's a collar with two chains connected to two bracelets. Okay. And that they do believe would be something you could use to control a male channeler. Like the Dragon Reborn. Yeah. Can't let this fall into the wrong hands. And in fact, the wrong hands are very close by, because it's not just Black Aja. They have realized and discovered the Forsaken Mogedion is somewhere around as well.
And honestly, they don't really want this to fall into anyone's hands. I don't think there are right hands.
Yeah, I mean, do we really even want the Aes Sedai to get their hands on this?
Not so much.
So, first they have to steal it, claim it, whatever they're going to do to it, and then they can figure out what the next step is. We'll get to that in this episode. We begin with Nynaeve and Elaine trying to sneak into the Panarch's palace. They got to get past the guard of white cloaks, the cordon of white cloaks around all the entrances. And doing it, they're trying to, they're in disguise. They're dressed as poor refugees, traveling on a wagon with Bail Doman and a bunch of his strong guys, bringing in a delivery into the palace. Now, Doman, Julin, and Tom, they all wanted to go into the palace with the girls. And in discussion and planning, they were like, Guys, that's not going to work. You will stick
Not so
out
much.
like a thumb. Uh, if you're wandering through the palace, there's no way for you to disguise yourself. Anyone seeing you is going to go, you don't belong.
Yeah, sorry, you guys just look honestly too capable.
The girls can blend in, and we'll see exactly how they choose to do that in a moment. But okay, Doman, Julin, Tom, they can't come in, but there is another person involved who could come in to provide some physical protection for the girls.
But do they trust them?
And we're talking about Aginin, the Shanchan that
Mm-hmm.
broke Nynaeve's heart, friendship-wise.
But she's
But
also proven that she's more than capable of defending herself hand to hand.
yeah, and seems to have some odd sense of loyalty. So, like, she's trying to impress them that you can trust me. So, as they're having this conversation and planning, Aginin is the one who herself says, I could go in, and even gives an oath. I will see you safely through this. And Doman does agree with you, Zach, and says, yeah, this woman can handle herself. That's not a bad alternative if we men can't come with you. Now, it's particularly important that someone like Aginin now is along to provide some muscle in case things go wrong. Why might they need someone to provide physical protection when they're a couple of channelers? They can take care of themselves. What's the deal?
It's about non-detection. They're sneaking into a place that they know have a bunch of Black Aja, have a bunch of full Aes Sedai that would sense even a whisper of channeling.
Not to even mention, of course, Moghedian somewhere around.
So if they want any chance of not being seen, they really have to do this as powerless as possible.
Yep. They fully recognize they may have to channel at some point, but they're going to try to delay that as much as possible. Aginin gives them another option to help with that.
Because the moment they start channeling, it's guns blazing.
Right. So Bail Doman and his crew, they get them past the White Cloaks. Because, okay, they get to the guards, the checkpoint with the White Cloaks, and they're being questioned. But they've been here before. They've come in with deliveries before.
Yeah, they've brought bribes
the girls
before.
Just keep their eyes down. Not with the White Cloaks. You don't have to bribe the White Cloaks.
No, but they've brought bribes to the palace before.
Yes, they have. They are known, but bribes, that's so harsh. Just bringing gifts.
Right.
So as Doman and his cart come to the White Cloaks, the girls are just gonna, keep their eyes down, try not to be noticed. It's not like the White Cloaks have any reason to recognize them. But they're gonna try to let Doman do his thing and get them through this easily enough. Now, Tom and Julin are playing a part here where they've started to seed rumors throughout the city to kind of cause unrest. Their thought is if the crowds in general, who are already pretty tense, get rioting, get all worked up, it will draw the White Cloaks' attention outside the palace, not inside the palace.
Yeah, Tom and Julin aren't so much lighting fires as they are stoking the embers that are already there.
Yeah, they're bending over going, yeah, get the coals hotter and the flames flying. And it seems to be working because as they're talking to the White Cloaks, Doman's trying to get them past. We hear off in the distance a shout, "The Panarch is dead!" And grumbling and rumbling and shouts. And the guards are like, well, what the? And they just wave them through. They're going to go check this out. That seems far more important.
Rougher things to deal with.
There is almost a rougher thing to deal with for the girls, though, because while they're delayed at the White Cloaks, Jacob Carradine comes riding up on a horse.
I don't see how that's a problem at all.
Now, Elaine recognizes him. They know Jacob Carradine is in charge of these White Cloaks, and she knows White Cloak uniforms. So it's simply by his uniform. They've not met before, but she can tell by his insignia, his rank. Oh, that's Carradine. And she really doesn't want to draw this guy's attention.
No.
But he does just ride on by. It's like they're not important to him.
Now, they don't, in this moment, know why they really don't want to draw this guy's attention, but we do.
Yeah, what is the big deal about Carradine, Zach?
Yeah, he's also a pretty bad dark friend.
Dark friend, dark friend. They
Oops.
do notice that he seems to have an expression on his face like he's worried about something. Is there anything else we know about Carradine that might be causing him stress right now, Zach?
Oh, he's worried about lots of things, from the situation at hand to the Black Aja that are pressuring him to the murderer who's systematically killing every member of his family.
Man, yeah, this guy. He's dug a hole and he's deep, deep, deep in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once past the White Cloaks, they come upon another checkpoint. It's not the White Cloaks anymore, it's the Panarch's Legion. Okay, the soldiers who work on behalf of the Panarch. The questions are shorter to get past this group because these are the ones that Doman is more familiar with bribing. And in fact, the girls see chink, little bag of coins dropped into one of their hands and move along, move along. So that's where it works pretty smoothly.
Look, as long as he pays his dues, they don't care.
Yep. Doman takes them to the kitchens, gets them in to deliver more ice peppers for the Panarch, and he literally announces, "A gift from Baal Doman, a good ship owner of this city." Yeah. Bribe. But this is as far as Doman goes. He has no reason to wander into the palace. He's just making a delivery at the kitchen. And
As
so
much as he might want to, he has no reason.
So he gets his 3 serving girls, these refugees that are helping him to, carry the ice peppers inside through the kitchen into a storage room. At that point, though, the girls are going to put the next part of their plan into place. But it gets a little tense because as they're walking through the kitchen, they see Malin Gamelfin, one of the Black Aja.
Oh, that's not good.
Right. She's in the kitchen, formerly brown Aja, but of course, again, now black, petting a little kitty. She's a cat lady. So she's there in the kitchen, totally paying attention to this cat. And the girls just walk through smoothly, quickly, try not to make a stir because, well, what might happen if she actually sees them and focuses on them?
I mean, she might recognize them and immediately take action.
And not just recognize them by who they are, but sense their channeling potential. Because we've learned that already, that Aes Sedai can sense when someone has the ability. They don't have to actively be using it. If they actually look at someone, they can see, oh, you can channel. So we don't want that. Nope. Move along. So Doman and his gang, they're done. They're gone. But the girls, once they get into the storeroom with their baskets of peppers, dump the peppers, and underneath, in basically false bottoms, there's a change of clothes.
Quick change time.
Yeah. And they change now into palace servant garb. This is why the guys couldn't have come with. Because the ladies, I mean, there's tons of serving women all over the palace.
Apparently there's no serving men or something.
Much fewer. And they have specific roles they serve in, and it's not just going around cleaning and moving from place to place and delivering food and items.
I don't know. Sounds awfully convenient to the story.
I don't think we're supposed to focus that hard on this point. But for their purposes, this is what's going to work. So they're quickly changing right there into this garb, and then they're going to, come back out like, oh, we're just servants going about our way. That's the plan. Eginin seems to have some trouble with this, though. She's grumbling as she's changing into this new outfit, and it doesn't make any sense to Elaine why Eginin has such an issue putting on this white servant garb. Might there be something to Eginin's grumbling that Elaine wouldn't know anything about that we might? We do, if you remember things from the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah,
No. Sorry. From the Great Hunt. Got to go back to the Great Hunt for this.
what I'm trying to remember are what are the colors and things situated with certain individuals, such as Damane. What color dresses do they wear?
Well, they
Or
just wear
um,
gray.
various servants and the like. But they
The
don't wear white
servants of the
either.
Shan Chen all wear white.
Do they?
They
I
do.
didn't think they did.
It's a very
I thought it was very
diaphanous
sheer
white.
black.
It's oh no, it's not black. It's a sheer white. So
Now I
that's
gotta
what
look
she's
this up.
equating this. Feel free. I did not double check. This is purely from my memory, but I believe that's why she has such an issue with this. She's dressing like those servants, the lowest of society, and she just gives her the ick. While you look that up, I'm going to carry on a little bit because this could take you a moment. The women, eventually properly garbed, exit the storeroom, try to pass through the kitchen, just like the plan. It's like, we own this place. We're right where we belong. We're doing our thing. Unfortunately, they play their parts a little too well because a cook sees them and assumes they are servants, but that they're here to do a task and they're trying to shirk it. She's like, weren't you here to pick up the food that needs to be delivered to Lady Ispan? Why aren't you doing it?
According to the Wheel of Time wiki, you are correct. They're nearly transparent white robes.
Yes.
That is correct.
So, okay, they get hooked into they're going to deliver breakfast to the Lady Ispan. Now, Ispan isn't that unusual a name in Terabon, but it does happen to also be one of the names of the Black Sisters. What do you think? Coincidence? Or
Probably
is this
not.
maybe, this could be a problem.
It's fine.
Now, again, they're not going to blow off the cook because that would blow their cover. So Elaine drops into the perfect servant response, gives a brief curtsy, and grabs the tray. And the cook seems to feel Elaine is mocking her.
Yeah, Elaine, you're not in Andor, especially not the Queen's Palace. And you're definitely not answering to a lady. So you're
Elaine
being way too polite.
Right. Elaine did not understand. She's like, I'm acting just like I've seen servants in my palace do so many times, hundreds of times. She's like, yeah, how they responded to you, Elaine.
The daughter heir of Andor, not the cook.
Right. She has no idea how servants interact with each other.
So the cook saying this, it'd be like, oh, fine. And you move on. Like, okay.
It would be like when you were growing up, and if I had said, Zach, hey, would you take out the trash? And you'd be like, oh, very well, my lord. And you did some fancy bow, and I'm like, what is your issue? Just take the trash out, boy. Yes, that kind of thing. But they, okay, fine. She doesn't understand that, but she does understand is we need to move fast because the cook literally is coming at her with a wooden spoon, gonna give her something. Give her what for being sassy.
Oops.
But they get out of the kitchen. Now, Elaine actually has improved on her disguise because now she's carrying a breakfast serving tray. She clearly is on a mission as a servant. The other two are like, well, we need to accessorize as well then, so it looks like we are busy. Nynaeve finds a feather duster. Mm-hmm. Just so stereotypical. Now, I mean, what is she wearing? A French maid's outfit, with the feather duster?
I mean, who knows?
So she looks like she's cleaning, and Aeginin, she sees some folded, cleaned towels, and she grabs them. Like she's carrying towels somewhere. But she also then somewhere else sees a stone pestle and mortar and grabs the pestle and puts it kind of hidden inside the towels. She's kind of like, if I need a little heavier punch at some point, I got a little weapon now I could use. Zach, you do know what a pestle is, right?
I'm honestly ashamed that you're asking this of me, and I'm going to go into why.
No, I want you to tell why. You should know. Yes.
it's the tool used in a mortar and pestle for crushing and various muddling. Whether you're using it more in like,
oh, now you make me proud though. Muddling.
well,
That
yeah,
because that doesn't tie with the original reason why
but we're
you
gonna go
know.
both ways here for a moment because we're gonna go the chemistry reason of you're crushing things up for chemicals and things that you're mixing together. Reasons I would know this. Why did you even bother asking? But the other way,
I was throwing
when
you a
use it
softball,
more
my son.
in
Come on.
a alcoholic drink making mixology context, you can use a modern mortar and pestle for crushing up various herbs, berries, other funky things that you're going to be putting into your drinks or
Mint.
infusing flavors. Mint is an herb.
Yes.
It just covers something I already said.
Yeah, but it was a specific example. Oh, come
Sure.
on. Just move on.
I'm not moving on because you had the audacity to say I might not know what it is.
No, dude. It was a softball question. Are you familiar with a softball question?
I'm familiar, but I doubt you.
Oh, come on. I'm going to get my wooden spoon and come after you soon.
Good
All
luck.
The women are now fully disguised and they move on their mission. They do have a crude map of the palace that Doman's men had drawn up for them. And with it, they're trying to arrive at two different locations. So first, they've got to find the male Adam, which was where, according to Nynaeve's World of Dreams exploration. Do you remember where that was?
Gallery place thing.
Right? And then they need to rescue the Panarch, Amathera, because also from Nynaeve's exploring, it looks like she's not evil. Rather, she's captive, being used, maybe even being tortured by the Black Aja.
They have a vague concept of even where, kind of, in that it's in a room, probably a bedroom. They don't actually know much beyond that.
Now, which of these missions would be more important?
In the overall world scheme of things, probably the item. But that doesn't feel good to say.
But it is true.
Doing
100%.
a robbery instead of saving an individual who's being tortured, like, feels wrong to say that's more important.
But it is. It is. So they're going to split up now. Divide and conquer.
Split the party. I've never heard of this going wrong.
Yeah. And they're going to send Nynaeve off on the more important of the missions. Okay, she's the one that's going to go try to get that Adam, the collar and bracelets, while Egwene's not here. She's somewhere completely different.
Egwene and Elaine. You mix the two together.
Right. There's so many E's in this. Okay, so Elaine is on the mission to get Amathera, if they can. Egwene's going to go with Elaine because that's where it's more likely they'll run into guards guarding the Panarch.
Makes sense until you stop and think about it and go, Nynaeve's the one who's blocked here. If they run into trouble and they need to be able to do something but aren't really, really angry, Nynaeve can't do anything.
But again, they're trying to do this in a subtle way where they won't need to channel. So Nynaeve is the one less likely to run into someone, therefore less likely to need to channel. That's what they're discerning.
I understand. I just think it's really stupid to plan for the best case scenario. You plan for the worst case scenario and hope for the best.
Now, they also believe they're less and less likely they'll run into guards because Tom and Julian's plan of building a full-out riot seems to be working. They can hear the noises from outside the palace, and it seems to be pulling all the guards out towards the exterior to keep people out of the palace. So they're not paying attention to what's going on inside the palace already. They're not seeing guards.
Yeah, I think Bail Doman was right. It's going to be another Falma.
But he's going to be partly to blame, perhaps. All right, so Nynaeve heads off, but we are in Elaine's POV up to this point in the chapter. So when Nynaeve leaves, we don't know what happens. We're going to follow Elaine and Egwene now.
Sounds good.
They come to the area that it looks like would be the Panarch's apartments. and Elaine can sense channeling inside. There's no guards around. They don't see anybody, but inside the room, someone's channeling. She can't be sure. Is it one person? She can pretty much assume it's Black Aja, but is it one of them? Is it multiple? No way to tell. If channeling's going on, she assumes that means Amathera's probably there because they're probably torturing her again or whatever Nynaeve had seen before. Elaine didn't see it.
But that being said, maybe the one from the kitchens has just moved up and is channeling to play with the cats.
It's an unknown. Know. It's an unknown. So they've got to go in there. Elaine decides best to be prepared to go in, kind of as you said earlier, guns blazing. She's going to be ready to channel at whoever she finds. And she even thinks in her mind, okay, I can take on more than one. We had through the Great Hunt and the Dragon Reborn the experience of seeing Elaine developing her skills, stretching herself a bit, and
leveling up.
Yeah, she has learned that she can handle as many as 4 different weaves at a time, which she's not familiar with most people being able to do. In fact, only Nynaeve and Egwene can do what Elaine can do, as far as Elaine knows.
Save for, say, like male channelers like Rand, who she's like, he must have done dozens.
Right. He's a whole nother ballpark, and that's icky, and she doesn't want to think about that.
Precisely.
But so, she gives Egwene orders to just open the door, fling it open, and she's going to jump in ready to go. And what does she find? Well, she finds one black sister in there, toying with Amathera. It's a sister named Tamael. And Tamael's like, whoa, as the door comes flinging open. Before she can recover from the surprise of that, Elaine has slammed a shield down her and chucked her across the room, knocking her out.
Thus ends the importance of this character, really, to us. But I just think it's interesting because before we move on past her, I want to go, how was it you were saying her?
Tamael.
It's not
what you said.
Tamila.
Just as long as you don't say tamale, because that's just messed up.
I mean, maybe she's really hot. Who knows?
Maybe a little spicy.
Okay, puns aside. What are we going on with?
Well, with her taken out of the picture there, Elaine turns to this woman in the room that they believe is the Panarch and says, was she alone? Is she the only one? Is there anyone else here? The Panarch does not know what's going on, but yeah, she confirms, no, she was the only one here. And yeah, the others really don't spend time with me. They just give me orders and make me, pass decrees and say what they want me to say. But this one, she seems to enjoy hurting me and demeaning me. And like what Elaine had actually heard just before she came in was Amathera singing a raunchy body tavern song. Well, Nynaeve had heard that too back when she was looking, but she hadn't told Elaine that part. Mm-hmm. So this is a shock to Elaine. Elaine is basically, also royalty, sort of like the Panarch, and she's like, I would not be caught dead singing a song like that. So with that explanation of Tamael being, that's why she was here. She likes to torture me. She walks over, Amathera walks over. Well, walk is too gentle. She leaps over at Tamael and starts pummeling the unconscious black sister.
Yeah, that's fair.
Slapping and punching and giving her what for. Yeah.
She's not nice, but it's not undeserved.
Right? Egwene's kind of sitting there going, makes sense. Elaine is like, wait, stop this. And uses air, so channels again to basically pull the Panarch back, stop her arm from punching anymore. She's like, fine. Okay. You want to dispense justice. I get that. But we actually need to get you out of here because we've taken great risk to come into the palace to rescue you. It's not safe here. There are more people like Tamail or Tamali or whatever. We got to go. Now, she gets some pushback from the Panarch, who wants to, go rally her legion and wreak vengeance against these women. And
yeah,
they have some words. It's like
they have some words and some, maybe not all just words on Elaine's side.
Yeah. I think Aguinin gets involved a little bit too, but they make the point that no, you are not doing what you want. You're doing what we want, and we're going to quietly sneak away.
Look, this is a jailbreak, but also you went from being their prisoner to our prisoner until we get out of this because we are kidnapping you from prison.
Not bad. That's
she's not a child. Abducting her from prison.
All right. We'll find out what happens from there in a little bit. We're going to jump over to Nynaeve's POV here and see how that part of the task is going. Because Nynaeve has made it to the Grand Exhibition Hall, that museum-like thing that she'd visited in the World of Dreams. Now, Zach, one of the cool things about this hall is the articles of past ages that are on display. And
As
we had
with
some
most
things,
museums.
Yeah, we had some things described previously, but right now, Nynaeve describes seeing a wired together set of bones that looked like a long-legged horse with a neck that pushed its skull up 20 feet. What is she looking at?
Clearly a hoax. No, I'm kidding. It's a giraffe.
Yes. What does this tell us about it, that when she looks at this thing, it's like, whoa, what is this? I mean, she doesn't know it's a giraffe. What does this tell us?
She's never seen a giraffe in her life, but they did at some point live here. Probably. Or close enough that they could have been shipped here.
Right. It's potentially possible giraffes are still in the world, but
just not
certainly not in this
them.
area. Right.
And she's been to a decent chunk at this point of what she knows of the world.
Yes.
Sections that count as accessible.
Other than these cool things to see, though, the hall is empty. So Nynaeve rushes over to where the black collar and bracelets are, what they're thinking of as an Adam, and thinking can take care of business before anyone else comes in. Now, it looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, I don't mean to be like harsh to museums because I love museums, but this is kind of stereotypical.
The museum's empty.
Yeah. If you get a chance, if you have a local museum, go support them. Donate even. Whether it's an art museum or a history museum or whatever, museums are great. Support them if you are able.
Zach with the public service announcement for today.
Look, it belongs in a museum.
I do love museums as well, which is probably partly why you love museums. Man, I could spend days and days in the Field Museum in Chicago, in the Smithsonian Museums in Washington, D.C., anywhere. Museums are cool, no doubt. I also appreciate that they don't tend to have a lot of crowds because I don't like crowds. So why are we telling people to go to museums? You're messing this up for me now.
Because museums are underfunded. I didn't tell everyone they have to go to them. I said support them. If you want to just financially support them, you can do that.
All right. So she's in this typically empty museum, and she's over here looking at this Adam, and she starts intentionally thinking thoughts about it, what could be done with it, and what might happen if it falls in the wrong hands, and realizes she's actually intentionally making herself angry. Like, she just starts doing this without thinking about, I need to make myself angry. And of course, she realizes, I'm getting myself worked up so I can channel. Well, look at that. And she can do it. She's angry enough now she can access the power. It's almost like working around her block is becoming second nature to her. When she knows she might need to channel, she's instantly making herself get worked up. Do you think that's the solution for Nynaeve then? That she just keeps going like this?
I don't know.
Naturally, maybe she reaches that point where she just flips a switch and she's instantly angry because she needs the channel.
This crosses into a dangerous point of speculation where we've both read these books and you're asking me to speculate on things that I know the answers to. and we're spoiler light, so I'm going to refrain from answering too much. But if that is the case, it's very Hulk, I'm always angry. So
it would be a logical thing to conclude at this point that this is the way Nynaeve might be resolving
yeah,
her
the
block.
incredible Nynaeve.
Mean, green, and ugly. As Nynaeve prepared
nice.
to scoop up the Adam, though, she sees a serving woman into the room, and she's like, oh, maybe I should wait a moment. I don't want someone to see me steal this thing. I'll just wait for this woman to move along. But then she thinks to herself, wait, why would I assume another servant who's like here to clean is just going to move along? That doesn't make sense. So she focuses on the woman a little more directly and sees the serving woman is walking right at her. And then ding, the light goes off. It's Mogideon, basically in serving garb, just like Nynaeve, blending in like the palace servants.
And I mean, she's not supposed to know who that is.
Right.
But she broke through that compulsion. So she does. And she's pissed.
Yeah. And what follows next? Yeah, if she wasn't angry before, she'd be angry now. We have a battle for the ages here now.
Well, I mean, maybe not the ages. They're only in one age right now.
Okay, a battle for the third age right now. Nynaeve lashes out. Again, she's already angry. She easily grasps the power, and she just wham with a hammer of air trying to knock Mogideon's block off. Mogideon just strikes out in a way that slices or slashes through the weave, and it kind of snaps back at Nynaeve. She has a physical feel as so much power just comes boomeranging back at her.
Yeah, Mogideon claps back.
Mogideon strikes out. Then with her own powerful weave, she's trying to use compulsion. And Nynaeve feels it again for just a moment, like, oh, wondrous woman, but then repeats what she saw Mogideon do. Now, we've learned this.
I could do also.
Right? We've learned this about Nynaeve before. She's a bit of a prodigy. All she needs to do is see something done with the power once, and she can repeat it.
Man,
so
it's
she's
real
never
convenient that this power system works, that if you're powerful enough, you just monkey see, monkey do.
I disagree. This is not something that everyone who's powerful enough, they can do this. This is a Nynaeve skill. This is something that sets her apart from others.
I disagree, and we have evidence to the contrary.
It's a little more, she's a prodigy.
The only way that this sets her apart is the fact that she is significantly more powerful innately than pretty much everyone else.
Now, I think you're drawing a false conclusion. That could be a correlation, but that doesn't mean one caused the other. And I don't think it's that case, because we don't get the same proof with Egwene and Elaine, who are both also very powerful, that they see something once and they can instantly do it.
No, but we do get the same sense that they see something once or twice and they handle it very quickly. We also see with other powerful channelers later on or other times, I can't go into too much specifics where we're at, but maybe male, maybe female, who knows, who can see it once and reproduce it. It is shown with evidence time and time again. The more powerful you are, the easier you learn different weaves.
No. We see time and time again that the more powerful you are, the more able you are to master certain weaves. Some people can't master certain weaves because they're not powerful enough. That's what we see when it comes to power. But the one you referenced about a male, perhaps, you hinted and danced around, there's a totally different reason.
Nope, there's a different one that I'm telling you about right now.
Man.
And I'll tell you in the spoiler room.
Okay, we are going to agree to disagree on this one, though, before we bore people with our bickering. The point is, Nynaeve does have the ability. She sees something once, she can replicate it even though she's never been taught it. And she slashes Mogideon's compulsion weave. And Mogideon, misses a step. It's like, what? Why would Mogideon be so shocked at what Nynaeve just did? I mean, she did it to Nynaeve, so why is she shocked Nynaeve does it to her?
Because A, as far as she knows, it's probably not something that's very well known, able to be done. And B, she's a Forsaken. She's super powerful. She's used to being able to just overpower people. The fact that
Right?
someone seems to be matching that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. More about that in just a second. Because the next thing we know is now both women have had their initial attacks slashed. They both come at each other again with their full power, now specifically trying to cut the other off from the source. Okay, because if I attack you, you're just gonna stop. Excuse me, you're just gonna stop the attack. So I'm gonna try to shield you or sever you. Remind us of the difference between shielding and severing.
Temporary, permanent, really.
Okay. And they probably, well, I don't know. For Nynaeve's part, she'd be more than happy to sever Moghedien if she can. We might be guessed that Moghedien would be trying to do the same, but who knows? She might be content to just shield her and toy with her and maybe try to use her. Who
Also,
knows?
I don't know if Nynaeve is fully willing to really go for a sever just because it's a very icky concept, and anyone sitting in the good side of things doesn't immediately jump to that.
Well, we do learn just a little later here that she had tried to sever Moghedien.
She does get there, yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing is, though, they're throwing phenomenal cosmic power at each other, and if some other bloke just walks in the room, he's just going to see two women standing there staring at each other, having a staring match. There's nothing happening. There's no movement going on.
Mm-hmm. Honestly,
Just
it
staring.
gets to the further context. I almost want to say they almost mentioned this. If some other bloke walked into the room, they could just stab one of them in the back, and they wouldn't be able to do a whole lot because all of the power and concentration is really focused on this mental battle.
Right. Bringing their full powers at each other, nothing's happening because they're basically at a stalemate. They're finding their powers are so closely matched that this ties to what you just said. They have to give it their complete attention and effort. They have no focus for anything else because it's like neck and neck right there. What's so incredible, Zach, about this being a stalemate between Nynaeve and Moghedien?
Well, Moghedien is a Forsaken from the Age of Legends who has hundreds, if not thousands, of years of experience and knowledge. Nynaeve isn't even full Eyes to Die and can only channel when she's angry. Definitely not full powered up. Whatever her full potential is, she's not there yet.
Right. We do learn just a little later here that Moghedien has over 200 years of experience. So she's not thousands of years.
No,
of
my
course,
point of thousands of years is there was 1,000-year nap.
Big time gap, right? But obviously, I mean, 200 years of channeling compared to a couple of actively being aware I'm a channeler and trying to develop my potential. Yeah. Nynaeve is relatively unexperienced, and women do grow further into their power as they go. So she may be getting more powerful.
Yeah.
And she's, neck and neck with Moghedien. As they stand there facing off, Moghedien begins the bad guy monologue. Lucky for us, because we get some nice tidbits dropped here. And I just kind of list these. I'll tick them off here.
Okay.
First, the Black Aja. They have a number of very useful items in their possession, according to Moghedien. What would she be referring to? That's something we should know about.
Stolen Terangrial.
Right. We learned that the Forsaken Ravine has a pretty little queen to amuse himself. Now, do we know something about that?
We do. And I don't remember if it's been confirmed, but I think it has, that Ravine is in Andor.
Yes. And where would there be a pretty little queen? We had already gotten pretty good hints that something's going on in Andor with Queen Morghese and this Lord Gabriel who, tried to have Elaine killed and all that. So
this is further confirmation.
Put some
Gabriel's
pieces
Ravine?
together. Yeah. The male Adam, we learn here, is a kind of Quendiar. It cannot be destroyed.
I want to dive into the question, what do you mean a kind of Quendiar? Is
That's
there
what
more
she
than
says.
one?
Apparently, it doesn't look like typical Quendiar, but it has the same properties. You cannot destroy it once it was created.
Like, is it just implying that it's Quendiar-like because it has those properties, or that it is Quendiar of a different kind?
I
I'm
inferred
very,
the second. It's a kind of Quendiar.
I'm
Yeah.
very curious.
Also, about that Adam, it can be used to control a male channeler, like they suspected, even lose Theron, who's now called Randall Thor. That's what Mogideon says. But it won't stop a male channeler from going mad. So if you're controlling a male channeler, the madness is not going to be prevented. It's going to be something you're going to be dealing with as he goes mad. Also, this thing flows both directions. So, yes, you can control him, but he also can start to try to control you. Now, 2 bracelets so that 2 different women can be working together, and therefore try to overpower this male channeler. It doesn't have to be 2 women. If it is 2 women, they need to be able to trust each other because they're going to be somewhat susceptible to each other while they partner. Basically, Mogideon shares all this stuff about it to point out why she hadn't taken it, why it's still there. She's like, yes, it's useful, but it's got some drawbacks. So, okay. She gets through all of this, and Nynaeve basically comes to realize, wait a second, Moggy isn't just speaking to pass the time.
No, she's doing what most villains do. She's stalling.
And going next level, she's trying to distract her with this broad stalling and dropping all this information and hoping something's going to shock Nynaeve enough that her focus will slip. She'll drop her guard and wham, Mogideon can go in for the kill or whatever.
Does it work?
Well, it actually gives Nynaeve an inspiration. 2 can play that game. So Nynaeve feigns physically a little weakness. She lets her knees buckle a little, like,
oh no, I'm getting tired.
Which she actually kind of thinks to herself, she doesn't have to act very hard on this one because she's feeling it, man. This is like,
because Nynaeve's not a good actress.
But just that little buckling in Mogideon, she's like, aha, and steps closer to her. I have you now, my pretty, kind of thing. At which point, Nynaeve grabs the Adam and flings it right at her head. Bunks her right in the center, right between the eyes. Now, it's just a real quick toss because, she doesn't grab it and hold on. The thing hurts, to hold. She just flings it at her. It's a couple
of different things. One, when something comes flying at your face,
you flinch.
It's shocking. You flinch. 2, if something actually hits your face, you flinch a little bit more. And 3, this thing, when it hits your face, gives you a sudden surge of all the ick, all the ow.
So this doesn't do any physical harm. It's not like she knocks her out with it. But it does cause Mogideon to falter with her control for just a moment, and that's all Nynaeve needed. The shield of spirit slams home, and Mogideon has been blocked off from the source. At which point, she completely freaks out. Her eyes bulge. She's a Forsaken. No one has done something like this to her.
At least not in a long time.
She literally, it says, hikes up her skirts and runs away.
Or tries.
Yeah, Nynaeve simply grabs her with air, freezes her in place. Mid-stride. She can't move a muscle. At which point Nynaeve takes the time to inspect what she's done, and this is where she literally does see, okay, it only shielded her. It confirms, because we're in her POV, she was trying to still her. But the edge of the shield blunted it just before it slammed home, which is probably a result of Mogideon's strength or her attempt to stop it, that the best that happened was she was shielded.
It's like they were trying to slam a door, and you didn't stop the door from closing, but you did, throw a piece of cardboard in there so it's a little bit, and it's not fully latched.
There you go. That's not bad. The other thing Nynaeve thinks at this moment is, holy crap, I just beat a Forsaken. She didn't have time to dwell on this. She was fighting for her life. And I won. I won. Now, Moggy, she begins making some offers for her freedom. It's
That
like,
she thinks Nynaeve can't refuse.
yeah, please let me go. I could teach you so many things. And Nynaeve's like, nah, I am not. Nope. We're not talking about this. And then she starts throwing Malgideon's taunts right back at her. You know, you were talking about how you were going to turn me into your footstool, how you were going to do all these horrible things. Well, maybe I could try some of that on you now and make Malgideon sweat a bit. Not that Nynaeve would actually do any of that.
Yeah, even as she kind of says it, she's like,
yeah,
I wouldn't do that. That's just mean.
Now
I'm
she kind of
like
feels
that.
a little dirty that she said anything like
I
that.
stooped as low as she did.
Right. No, her purpose, her thoughts is we need to get Malgideon back to the White Tower now, where she'll be tried, she will be stilled, and she'll be executed. Of course, that wasn't part of the plan here and taken into the palace to get stuff. So she's like,
But
how
hey,
do
when
I
the
get her out?
opportunity arrives, you take out a Forsaken.
Yeah. So she's stuck here now trying to think, what do I do? I've got the Adam, that was the goal. Can I get Malgideon out as well?
Oh, and don't forget, there's other things in this place that you probably want to grab.
Which she does go to. She's like, okay, I'm not sure what to do with Malgideon yet, but let me check on that other thing. So she goes to the center of the room where there had been a pedestal when she saw it in the World of Dreams that had a bunch of Quendiar items, and right in the middle was a disc with the symbol of the dragon fang and the flame of Tarvalon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of divided with a sinuous line. And what do we know that actually is?
A seal of the Dark One's prison.
Right.
Man,
So
it's a good thing that people didn't publicize pictures of what these seals look like, because nobody knows what these are. They're just sitting around.
No, they're always
people have
that
them in
pretty.
there it's like, yeah, I have it with Grandmama's silver set.
Yeah. I've been using that as a little doily thing.
It's a
the flower
coaster,
pot
right?
sits on top of it. Yeah. Well, she goes to where it is and it's gone. What? All the other little items are there, but right where the seal had been, there's just some little a shape. She doesn't like an animal. What she describes kind of looked like a boar to me, a wild boar, but no disc. Then she's like, wait a second. And she looks a little closer and she discerns the disc is right there in front of her. There's an illusion with a little bit of air and fire to disguise it in plain sight.
Now, I want to pick your brain here for a moment. Air and fire do illusion, kind of giving you're manipulating what you're seeing in the same way as a mirage. And
yeah, I like that.
Waves being
yeah,
I like it. It makes sense to me why you would use air and fire.
It wouldn't hold up if somebody actually tried to pick it up, but just looking at it, you don't see the disc. You see something totally different. She just uses a little bit of power to slash the weave and poof, look, now you can see the disc again. And she picks it up, adds it to her collection. All right. Now, what do I do? Still can't figure out what to do with Malgideon. Decides to leave her there. It's like, best I can do. Someone will find her. Goes to one of the exits to leave. She's going to head off to where she's supposed to meet up with Elaine and Aeginin. And when she opens the door, coming at her in the foyer, hallway, whatever that's out there, is one of the other Black Aja.
Which, makes sense considering they just were setting off literal atom bombs of power in that room.
Right. Which just finally dawns on Nynaeve. And kind of and it's probably good no one came while we were having our standoff because I couldn't have done anything about it. But now, maybe I can. Except she doesn't have the time to do anything right now other than dive out of the way. Because who she sees... let me toss this to you this time. How would you pronounce this name?
Kaida. That's the last name. First name...
Gina?
I don't like that at all. I don't like any pronunciation you just did. Probably Giina. But I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't
How
like it
about,
at all.
how about we just call her Jane? Let's call her Jane.
Let's just not call her anything again.
You notice
last
in my
time we'll
notes,
see her or care.
in my notes, I leave off her first name. The rest of the
It's
references.
the reason why I just went for the last name, because I was like,
So, one of the Black Aja named Kaida
yep,
is heading her way, and she's holding one of those Terangrial.
What's
It's
it
a
look like?
specific one Nynaeve had read about that you can use to create balefire. Remind us of why balefire sucks.
It's great. It just erases things from the pattern.
Yeah, makes things like they never even existed. It's a definitely overpowered element of the Wheel of Time
Nah,
that you're
it's
not supposed to
perfectly
use
powered.
because all of the Aes Sedai recognize this is an overpowered thing. This is too
Something
dangerous
about
to
like
use.
being able to destabilize the structure of time and space.
Right? Well, Kaida, she's Black Aja. She doesn't care.
At least not
She
right
takes
now.
her balefire rod and tries to zap Nynaeve out of existence.
Now, this always said it was like a fluted rod.
Yes.
Maybe I'm ridiculous. I always imagined she's holding a recorder.
No. Fluted means something different.
I'm
Now,
sure it does.
Have
But
you
it's a
seen?
recorder in my brain.
Think about a pie, and the ridges that you give along the edge.
Sure.
That's fluting. So this rod has those kind of ridges all the way along it. It's not a smooth rod. It's
Along
a fluted.
The entirety of the length or on the ends, like they're crimped?
All along the length. It's fluted. That's what that would be.
I don't know if
It's Ripley.
I don't know if I like or agree with your
people listening
statement.
to this, watching this, give us your
You're
impression of a
probably
fluted
right,
rod. Okay?
But I'm still sitting here going, it's a recorder. It's more fun.
Anyways, as Nynaeve had read about it, it's actually hard to control this Terangrial, which we see. And I kind of an image of the Ghostbusters when they shoot their special beam and it kind of seems to go out of control on them. And that's what's happening with this, because she tries to zap Nynaeve and it sprays across the room and anything it touches just disappears. But she misses Nynaeve.
Makes me think of, remember when I was in like 8th grade going to high school and we got the opportunity to shoot that ridiculously powerful handgun?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of in Recoil, where I'm like, it hurts to hold on to, basically.
Yeah. And something like that's happening because she sees Kaida after she stops firing it is like out of commission for a moment. Like it knocked her for a loop. It's very hard to control, and the user pays a price. Nynaeve also notices as she looks at the way it's sprayed across the room. I mean, it did some real damage to this exhibition hall. Pieces of the ceiling are starting to fall in. There's rubble. It took out the pedestal where the Quendiar pieces in the center of the room were, but she notices, like, she sees that happen, and the Quendiar pieces all tinkle to the ground. They just drop. It did not destroy the Quendiar.
So
the whole pedestal is gone.
Proof.
Yes, so we get confirmation of that right there. Unfortunately, Kaida kind of pulls herself back together again and tries again. And again misses Nynaeve, takes out more of the place. In fact, takes out too much of the place. And the whole wall comes tumbling down right at Kaida, too. So she's gone. Not that she was necessarily buried, but Nynaeve can't see her anymore. The attack is over. For all she knows, she just killed herself trying to use this rod.
But either way, out of sight, out of mind, moving on.
Right. So Nynaeve's like, all right, I'm not even going to take the time to check and see if she's okay. I need to get out of here. So she turns to Moghedien and, crap, she's gone too.
Oops.
Now
maybe she got hit.
Nope. She can see that nothing in that spot is Balefire. Because, of course, maybe she was zapped. No.
That would have been so nice.
Right? Nope. Nothing was damaged by Balefire where Moghedien was. So Moghedien somehow got away. This should be impossible, but Nynaeve's like, how do you know what's impossible with Forsaken? So obviously there must be a way to get out of being caught in weaves of air. Maybe she's still shielded, but maybe not. Maybe there's a way to even get out of that. I don't know. I'm leaving, is what Nynaeve thinks. And as she rushes away, she's thankful she doesn't run into any Black Aja, because she's kind of wiped. All that battle with Moghedien, she realizes took a lot out of her. That's the end of the chapter. As Nynaeve rushes off to try to connect with Elaine again. Oh my goodness.
I'm just letting you have it, regardless of whichever one you say.
Chapter 55 is the other chapter for today, and it's actually a very short chapter. It's called Into the Deep. We're still with Nynaeve rushing through the palace. The palace is in chaos. Servants running everywhere. Cats and dogs.
I mean,
going
there were
crazy
just a
with
whole
each other.
bunch of beams of balefire shot randomly through any and everything.
It sounds like the palace is coming down, and you can still hear the riots outside going full bore. Servants are like, we're all gonna die. As she rushes along, she sees a couple of times in the distance other Black sisters. None of them coming at her. None of them see her. One of them's Leandrin that she sees. But she's like, I don't have time to deal with them. I'm not powerful enough right now. I'm wiped out. I'm just going to get this object out of here.
It's like, look, does she want to? Yeah, but this is more important right now.
Totally. She finds Elaine and Aguinan at their agreed upon meeting space. And they've been waiting there for half an hour.
Yeah, because they got, wow, Amathera out. No problem.
Speaking of, there's Amathera. And a quick sharing of notes, they discover that, they had a little more trouble with Amathera. They had to convince her to stay in line.
Notably, Amathera doesn't look like she's wanting to sit down right now.
She looks rather cowed and subservient. Yes. Apparently there was something about her still trying to run off and get her legion, and they had to set her straight. We don't get the details, but there may have been, I don't know, spanking. Something has been done, and she's going to be a good girl now. There is what?
Nope, keep going.
There is shock that Nynaeve faced off with and defeated Moghedien? Really? It doesn't even matter to Elaine that Moghedien got away. You beat a Forsaken. Holy wow.
Badass.
Shortly after Nynaeve has joined up with them, Julin, Tom, and Domin find them. Because this was, again, the agreed upon meeting place for all of them then. And Domin's got 300 of his toughs, a big old crowd of in essence, personal guard, mercenaries, soldiers, whatever you want. They are here to escort the women out of the palace and through the riot. Tom recognizes Amathera, offers up a bow. My lady, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. Well, Amathera glances at Elaine and then corrects Tom. You misunderstand, sir. I'm just, my name is, no, she doesn't say her name yet, but she does say, I'm just a refugee that these fine ladies rescued. That's all. It goes next level when they, okay, fine, that's weird. They get out of the palace, work their way through the crowds. Domin's toughs have no issue with the rioters. They push them away, get through, and get back to the inn. Mm-hmm. And at the inn, Rendra, the innkeeper, comes up to them, and Elaine introduces the Panarch, not as a Panarch, but as Thera, a refugee with no money who needs a pallet to sleep on and the chance to work and earn her meals. And Thera doesn't correct that at all. She just subserviently goes along with Rendra and gets put to work in the kitchens. Now, some of the others are like, what what was that? What just happened? Well, Elaine and Aginin explain how they had a very pointed conversation with the Panarch, saying, the mobs are crying, the Panarch is dead, the Panarch is dead. It's not very far from that to go to death to the Panarch.
Off with her head.
Yeah. So they convinced her it might be in her best interest to go incognito for a little while until things can get sorted out, and then she can, rally her legion of soldiers again and put things straight as she deems appropriate.
Not to mention getting to work here, doing a little bit of honest labor might be a humbling experience, and let her get a kind of a feel for the common folk and what they're kind of vibing on.
Absolutely.
Really understand the people.
Tom's actually rather impressed with Elaine's plan there, because it seems pretty deliberate. Elaine is seeing to it that Thera gets a little taste of the common life. Now they do hope that works out to kind of snap Thera, out of her haughtiness and get her more in touch with the real needs of the city, because they could use her. They could use her help to drive the Black Aja out of Tanchico and to kind of put some order back into the city. But then Tom speaks up, Thera's help might not actually be necessary to get rid of the Black Aja, because check out the palace. It's burning. The rioters went in. They got through, and they've set this place ablaze. They expect it's going to burn down to nothing. Well, I don't think the Black Sisters are going to be hanging around if there's no palace to hang around in.
Probably not. They'll probably go somewhere.
The conversation then turns to Nynaeve, sharing what they had all put their necks at risk to get their hands on. She brings out the Adam. She brings out the seal. Doman, seeing the seal, says, I had one of those once upon a time. Nynaeve's like, yeah, right. There's only 7 of them in the whole world, no. I mean, she doesn't say this out loud, but she's like, yeah, sure you did.
Meanwhile, we as readers are going, yeah, sure, he did.
He did.
Because he did.
What happened to that one?
I mean, it was found in Falma. Was it broken? I think it was. I don't remember if that one was found broken or not.
It was definitely taken out of his possession back there by... what's his name? Blade Master.
Yeah, the Shanshan guy.
Yeah, Tuvok.
And
Turok.
He ended up...
Turok, not the Vulcan Tuvok. It was Turok.
Lord Turok. And he ended up having 2 in his possession then.
Yeah.
One that he already had and this one. And I don't remember if Moraine at the end of Dragon Reborn
she
had
did.
both that were broken, or one broken and one not, or...
I think just one broken and one not, but she did get them both and brought them out of Falme. Yeah.
I know we know where they are. I just don't remember if they're broken or not.
Well, as they look at these items now, there's consensus. The disc needs to be sent to the White Tower. I mean, the Amerlin is the watcher of the seals. We got to get him back to the Amerlin.
Great job so far.
Oh, man. Yeah. Bang up job.
Knows where all of them are.
But now we come back to what we talked about earlier, alluded to, the collar and the bracelets. They're too dangerous. We don't want to send these to the Aes Sedai.
No, not
We don't want them
to
go to anyone who might potentially use them.
We would destroy them eliminated. If we could, but pretty sure we can't.
Nynaeve encourages Elaine to try. Elaine gets on it and uses her abilities to try to, do what she can, and nothing. She can't. It doesn't matter how much she channels, what power she uses, what kind of weave she creates. Everything just falls away when she tries to touch this item. So, can't destroy it with the power. They come up with a different idea. And Nynaeve says to Doman, do you know a really deep place in the sea? And basically, take these out there, drop them in the deepest part of the ocean, so no one will ever be able to find them. And he's like, I can do that. And that's pretty much where it ends. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to send the seal back, and it's time to get back to wherever they need to return to at this point in the Wheel of Time story. All right. Done deal. Boom.
That's our regular, normal content for this episode.
If you're a first-time reader, this is the point. You're not going to want to go further because we're going to spoil a couple of things as we enter the spoiler room. But we do want to remind you, especially first-time readers, if you haven't already connected with us on Discord, please do so. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you're really enjoying the content and you want to keep us going and encouraged and happy, become a Patreon supporter. We'd love that too. All of the ways to do so are in the show notes, and they really work now. The links
actually work.
Including the merch link where you could buy a Frosty mug or a coffee mug with Fantasy for the Ages logo there. And we do get a little bit from those sales, so that is another way, a fun way that you can support the podcast. All right. I'm going to move us into the spoiler room now, so bye, first-time readers.
The spoiler room.
There we go. And it's not an episode without it going twice.
Whoa.
I
kept trying to stop
the
it.
Spoiler room.
I kept trying to stop it and it wouldn't stop.
Sure
Now,
you did.
the second time I let it go because the first time kind of had a hiccup. I think that was I'm not hardwired today, but the third one was just fumble fingers. Okay.
Did
Now
you
here I
bring
remember
any
something.
dice?
I did not bring a die with me. I didn't even think of that.
Do you have a phone or computer handy?
I do.
Because
I'm talking on a
Google can
phone
do
and I
this for
have
you.
a computer. Oh yeah.
You definitely said that backwards. Of you're talking on a
I have a
computer.
computer. This really is a computer. I didn't tell you. This is on a short timer. I bought an iPhone 14.
Ooh, that's fun.
The Pro version, big. It's gonna be cool. It'll be in about 3 weeks.
Now, if you could just Google like dice rolling or whatever,
And I can get a D20 that way.
It'll pull up a thing that has a D20 through whatever the normal set of stuff just through Google to roll.
Dice roller. Oh, look at that. Roll dice. Online dice. Roll 20-sided die.
Plenty of ways you can do it.
Ooh. Okay, here we go. Oh, gotta get the ad out of the way.
I grabbed
And it's
a
rolling.
nice new big boy for us
Oh
today.
man. I got a 3.
And somehow I go first with a 4.
I don't like this dice roller.
Hey, I didn't do much better, but I did do better. Good
You
news,
did.
my spoil's not too intensive, but rather I can actually talk about things that I was going into. So what you thought I was going into as to examples
Rand.
of channelers who learn very quickly, Rand, and yes, that is true and obvious, but as you were going to try and point out, he has a guy in his head that kind of is messing with that, and so sometimes he's learning from that. There are times, however, that he picks up weaves from Forsaken or things and just immediately knows them. However, that's not my example. My example actually goes to Logain, who in a different time sees Rand do something through LTT memory that Rand isn't aware of and doesn't remember how to do. Rand does it and doesn't remember it. However, Logain, having seen it once, does.
Logain could be another prodigy.
I'm just saying it is much more likely with all of our examples that the stronger and the power you are, the fewer times you have to see a weave to know it.
Well,
There are
it's a
exceptions,
theory.
especially with things that require certain other talent. For example, the weave for traveling is more than just are you powerful enough to do it, but it requires a certain level of talent as well. But generally speaking, the more powerful you are, the fewer times you have to see a weave to learn it.
Now, minor segue. The Rand and Logain scene with those death gates.
Mm-hmm.
That's a freaking awesome scene.
Oh, it's a great scene.
Loved it. All right. My spoiler, I want to talk about the male Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Because your mother, just before I left town, read the chapter in The Gathering Storm, where this comes back to roost in a really bad way, but essentially necessary way.
What do you mean a bad way? A Forsaken dies.
Yeah, but first a Forsaken gets that on Rand. Because, yes, Baeldomen goes out to sea to drop it into the Marianas Trench or whatever, the deepest part of the ocean, and they are caught. So he doesn't have a chance to do it. They're taken from him. They fall back into Shanshan hands. And since Semerhaj is posing as the head Shanshan over here and will remain, even as things change, remain one of the highest ranking Shanshan over here, she's able to have the item and get close to Rand. And yeah, she collars him and tries to use it and does force him to basically strangle Min. Fortunately,
She lives.
he's one badass dude and he overcomes it and
Oh.
kills Semerhaj and
Let's
doesn't
pull
kill
back from
Min.
that statement for a moment. It's more than just him being a badass dude. It's not like he sheer force of will overcomes it. He taps into the dark side.
The true power instead of the one power.
And he needs to do that, or he wouldn't, no matter how
and the
badass
true
and strong of
power
will.
is not impacted or affected by this Adam. That's only a one power thing.
Apparently doesn't care about Quendiar.
What, the true power?
Yeah, because he
destroys
Adam.
it. Yeah.
So
next level,
Balefire can't break it, but the true power can.
But since we're spoiling things, it's critically necessary to how the whole series ends that Rand taps into the true power, as well as having been accessing the one power all along. So, this thing, I guess in the end, it's good it didn't end up at the bottom of the ocean.
No, it's kind of useful that you need to have the good power and bad power to win. It's almost like the creator and the dark one maybe are the same individual, two sides of the same coin. Sorry, we're going
up. I'm not buying
here.
that still. Not buying it. But I do want to talk to something that was very funny then. As I'm having this conversation with your mother about that, I'm then like, okay, so Semerhaj is gone. So where are the Forsaken at this point? I ask her, who's still around, who's gone, and she's ticking off all the names and working through it. And she's pretty good on being on track with who's who, knowing that Lanfear's back as Sindane, she's figured stuff like that out. But she's like, and Grendel, she's still hiding off in Eridoman somewhere. She's in that like mansion or something. And I'm like, yeah, stuff's about to happen there. And I couldn't say anything, because that's coming. That's a very imminent
I'm not
event.
saying she's going to die anytime soon, because she's not.
No. But just as she brings it up and I know what's coming. But the other thing that she says is, but the one I don't know is, that one that was teaching Rand as Modian. Where's he?
She totally forgot that moment at the end of
no, it doesn't confirm that he was killed at that point.
Yeah, it does.
No, he's like, what? You? And then something happens. And that's all we know. And then nothing is known. So we think he's killed.
Hold on.
But wait, but hold on, Zach. Wait. She also is like, she's figured out, like Agenor and Balthamel, they were killed, but then they came back. And
I'll give credit to that.
Is Modian dead, or has he come back? Or, and just hearing her trying to figure this out, and I'm just like, I'm not saying anything on this one. It was delightful. Just delightful. And those of you listening to me share about this, I hope you found that delightful too. And Zach has now got his nose in a book because he's going to try to figure out. You'll find it does not say, and thus Asmodean died.
Yeah, it does.
Where?
It says, one step and he stopped, the blood draining from his face. No. The words still hung in the air when death took him.
Ah, crap. Zach was right
straight
for
up
once.
Says he's dead.
Well, your mother forgot that. So did I in the conversation. That it straight up says he's dead. But remember, people have died and come back.
Except he's not connected to the Dark One anymore. More on that when we get there, because I love that and I want to talk so much more about it. It's huge. why can't this happen more often? Because there's a lot of power in that scene. We're going to get there. Not next week. Or rather, not next episode, but the
It's
following
a
one.
while. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
the one that I'm talking about is the next episode.
The thing that you're talking about next.
The end of The Shadow Rising.
That's not the next episode.
No, it's the next episode.
The next episode. Okay. All right. Good enough for now. That's it. I'm gonna run our outro.
Sounds good.
There
That was
it
a
comes. Yes.
extended spoiler room, but I had fun in it. I got to prove you wrong.
Yes, and as a good son anywhere, you would want to thoroughly enjoy one-ing up your father. One-ing up?
Always.
One-ing up. That was weird.
One-upping.
One-upping, not one-ing up. Some of these things can't be said that way, and it doesn't work.
It's been a day for weird phrasing. Maybe
I don't even have anything to drink. Maybe that's the
I
problem.
haven't had enough.
All right. Well, that's been fun, Zach. And all of you, we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.